Hello, it's Rafael Gutierrez, and today I'm going to do something a little different. Usually I try to use the anatomy and physiology to explain how or why certain things work, but there's been a couple things I've been wanting to do, which I haven't done, hoping someone else would do it, and finally I just decided, okay, guess I'll do it. And that actually has to do with certain ways we move. A lot of times people talk about, bunkai and definitive bunkai and master bunkai. I won't say that. I don't know if this is an application or if it's just something that by mere coincidence ended up being something that I saw and it's like, hey, wow, this works pretty well this way. The first thing I noticed is something that happens in Fugatani and in pretty much all the pinans, where what you notice is the first place you move is you move to the left and block with your left hand or block here or block here. I noticed something that was pretty interesting, and that is the way we walk, especially here in the U.S., and it has a lot to do with the way we drive too. The way we drive too. Talk a little bit about that more in the video a little later. But the other thing I wanted to talk about is something that I've always wanted to. I found some drills that work really nice, and I always was waiting for someone to do this before, but as no one did, I figure it's been about 3 years, so I will do this one. And that is one of the benefits to turning around, doing a 365. Now, there's a couple different ways people do it. One is if their feet are here, they'll step this one back and then turn. That's not the one I'm talking about. The one I'm actually talking about is when you actually step across here and turn, instead of going backwards, turning forward. Now, if you look at that, you actually have that in some of the pinans. You actually do have it in Fugatani as well. You also have it in a lot of the katas in styles that I don't do, but I've noticed that Uichiru and Goju-Ryu has katas that use that turn. Before I actually go, I've always talked about, there's a couple books I've written, kind of hoping that I can convince some of you to either buy or, I guess, I don't know if you can rent them. What they are is, and I figure it's time for me to talk a little bit more about it. One of them is Serious and the Rarest Things, which was my story going to Okinawa. There was a lot of interesting things that happened at the time I wrote about, which is 3 months. It wasn't the time I wrote about, which was 3 months today. A lot of things that happened in my life, and I ended up just saying, screw it, I need to get out of here, which happens to a lot of people. And I found that a lot of people who went the first time they went to Okinawa, especially if they spent more than a month, it usually was something went wrong and they wanted to go study karate at the source to get away from a lot of the things that were happening. Serious and the Rarest Things is actually pretty much a trip to Okinawa. If you've ever considered going to Okinawa, maybe it'll give you some insight on what I saw. I try to make it more of a novel type approach. Rather, I try to make it more of a story so you can hopefully follow and hopefully you'll find it interesting. The other one is Off the Rails, which is something that I recommend people also do. And that is get outside your comfort zone. What I mean is go travel. And when you travel, visit other schools. A lot of us already do that. Whenever I go, I will try to find schools where I can train it, and not necessarily of a style that I do or even related to mine. I do Okinawan karate, a style called Shorin-ryu. But when I travel, sometimes I'll do Shorin-ryu. I've actually had the honor and privilege of being trained by people who did capoeira, different arts that weren't related to mine, and a lot of arts that were related to mine. And every time I did that, I learned a lot, not just about that art, but also about my own art. You would think, well, what does capoeira have to do with Okinawan karate? And they actually have a lot of drills that work great, especially footwork, that they're the only ones that had it as far as I could tell. And, it's something that I've actually brought in. And like I said, every art has something that they can teach you. And so I really recommend going out, getting out of your comfort zone and seeing what else is out there. So what I am going to do is I'm going to just, if you guys don't mind, I'm going to read the first paragraph of this book, Chapter 1, Isolation. The toxic formaldehyde fumes clung to my hair and clothes as I gazed upon 6 courts, doing a job few were qualified for. Yet like the dead bodies I helped carve open, I was disposable. Only recently had I realized that I was Sisyphus, pushing that boulder up, only to start over again, never making any real progress in life. In other words, I was an adjunct professor, an unnecessary extension of the academic industry. One of the things is I was teaching clinical anatomy, the lab, at a doctoral program, and what I started seeing is a lot of as an adjunct, I left, and they, even though it was a doctoral program, they ended up hiring someone who had a master's degree, and everything was okay. The world didn't fall apart. To teach at a doctoral level, you don't need a doctoral degree to teach. You can do a master's, and a lot of people who replaced me actually didn't even have a degree in human biology. So that's one of the big things that I actually started noticing is it didn't matter. In the grand scheme of things, if I taught anatomy my way or or someone else taught it their way, whether it was correct or not, they had the knowledge to teach the class or not, it didn't matter. And when that happened, on top of the fact that my father passed away the same year and a lot of it was too much. I mean, it pretty much was, I felt like the ability to teach didn't really matter. It was pointless. Up to that, I had to leave. Now, at the beginning, it's 6 cadavers, and I did want that, and that was kind of a joke. Anyone who knows that I taught anatomy will know what it is. The other one, Off the Rails, there's actually some of you who probably know that you were in this book, and it actually starts a little different as well. This one was a train trip I took, obviously. See the train behind me? And up the coast of California, up to relatively Oakland area. And this is how I start this one. You might find it odd that even though my mind was sick, and I was aware of it, I was happy with my insanity. I sat for a bit, thinking of both my breakup just a couple weeks ago, and that upbeat Okinawan odyssey 2 years past. Again, one of the things with this book was, what happened was me and my girlfriend got in a big fight. We ended up breaking up for a little bit, and as time went on, as days went on, it started hitting me harder and harder that it was, again, it's like, wow, I had everything and lost it. And so in that book, that's actually part of the thing is, as I went on, I started seeing everything around me. And I don't know if any of you have broken up with anyone you've been with for a while, but a lot of times, as there is a lot of things that we've done that you do together with people, things around start reminding you of who this person was. And so that's actually where it actually starts, is if you think about it. After a breakup, you kind of go a little crazy, even if it's not a complete breakup, if it's a weird fight. It was me trying to show how the state of mind I was when I started the trip and when I came back. And again, it's every time I travel, I have weird dreams, so I add them in there too. So those are the 2 books that I have behind me. I also do have the anatomy book, which if you follow the anatomy lab class, you've heard probably more about it than you wanted to. What I'm going to talk about today, if you're here in the US and you're walking towards someone, and they're walking towards you, just because of the way we drive, I will actually shift to the right as they shift to their right, or my left. And so we actually end up passing each other on the side. Now here's the funny part. If that person for some reason was going to attack you, they would be attacking you from your left side. Which, what could happen is, these blocks you use would actually be protecting you from a hit. And it actually doesn't, I found it didn't matter if it was a right or left hand. If you try these drills, actually go ahead and try it. Please tell me how they worked out for you. It worked for me on both sides. It didn't matter if the person attacked with the right or left hand. It did put me in a better position. The other one that I was going to talk, like I said, I was going to talk about is when your feet are here and when you turn by pushing your feet over here and then turning completely around. And I found another drill for that. And this one had to do with something someone had told me about recovery. When you really get attacked, you don't see it coming. I think it was Rory Miller who says, whoever attacks someone usually chose the time, place, and person. That means if someone's going to attack you, they've chosen the best angle for them to attack you, where you wouldn't know where you're coming from. And for me, I actually started thinking, if I was going to attack someone and I didn't care about anything but making sure I got what I wanted from them, where would I attack them from? And I decided the back. And so what I noticed is a lot of katas have that turn to flip 180 degrees so you're facing the opposite way. What I did is I started looking, okay, if I'm punching with this hand here, I'm actually going to punch in this angle here. If I'm punching with this one, I'm going to push this way. And so rather than taking a real blow to the back or the head, I decided, okay, I'm going to use instead of a punch, a push. And what you're going to see is if you did 2 attacks, the punch and then followed by another punch in the back, if you do the turning and you do a block like in some of the katas, you'll find that it puts you in a really good position. In this case, again, you've already been hit once. And I would recommend if you try these drills, don't do it with a punch because there's certain areas that can cause a lot of damage, especially in the back. And so here's a video. I hope you enjoy it. Just by random chance, most katas will turn left. And if you are in the US or any country that drives on the right side of the road, you'll actually notice how what we do is when we walk, we'll actually walk to the side to avoid hitting someone. If you do it if you're driving on the left side, you might do it to the left. But luckily for us, we're doing on the right. So what I'm actually going to use the 5 is, I'm going to show you something interesting. If I'm walking this way and we both move to the side and I decide to attack, as I come to punch, he actually can move straight to almost any of the pinans or even fugatani. So if I come here, 1, 2. So he actually turns to defend himself. Now there's some people, I'm going to have you use this here. Turn around. Now, some people ask why we turn sometimes completely around. Now, again, this is something that I can't say this is a bunkai, but if I were to punch Ivan with this hand, I'm actually going to be pushing him on this axis. If I punch him with this hand, I'm going to be pushing him on this axis. So, if I were to come in and hit him here, his movement would be there. And so you can see how he moves in. Again, what would happen is, as I hit here, he rotates with it, I can block and punch. So in fact, if I do two punches, punch him here once and here again, the hand that's actually coming around spinning the block will actually block the punch and put him in a better position. Now, no, I can't say that this is what you're actually learning to do. What I can say is you can see how it works. And if you think of getting hit in the back, you are taking a hit. There's nothing you can do about it. But the second hit is the one that you're going to protect from. And so we'll do it one more time from here. So the first hit you're going to take, but the second hit is the one you protect from. And you can come in and put the blow here. So one more time. So as I come here, and I come here, he then has the blow to the face. Thank you. Thanks. That's it.